Amelia had always believed life would get easier once she escaped the broken home she grew up in, but life had a way of testing her strength in the most brutal moments. At 23, heavily pregnant and exhausted from juggling 2 part-time jobs, she thought she could rely on Daniel, the man who had promised her forever, the man who had been so excited about the pregnancy in the beginning. But life had been squeezing Daniel too, and somewhere along the way, he began blaming Amelia for everything: the bills, the stress, the sleepless nights, even the pregnancy he once celebrated. On the night Amelia went into labor, rain pounded against the windows like the sky itself was grieving. She clutched the kitchen counter, breathless, pain stabbing through her like lightning. She called Daniel first, her voice trembling, but instead of rushing to her side, he snapped, "I can't do this anymore, Amelia. I'm done. Don't call me again." And the line went dead. Her hands shook as she dialed again and again, but Daniel had shut her out of his life in the exact moment she needed him most. Her neighbor rushed her to the hospital while she cried silently, feeling abandoned, terrified, and utterly alone. Hours passed in a blur of pain, monitors beeping steadily as nurses tried to comfort her. Her body felt like it was being torn apart, but the emotional wound hurt far worse. When the doctor came in and asked for the father's information, Amelia couldn't even speak. She only shook her head and whispered, "I'm alone." She didn't know that at that very moment, a stranger stood outside her hospital room, staring in disbelief. Adrian Lancaster, a 30-year-old billionaire investor known for his icy demeanor and impossible schedule, was only in the hospital because his foundation was funding a new wing. But fate has a way of bending paths toward each other, and when he overheard the nurses whispering about the young woman whose partner had left her in labor, something inside him stung with a familiar ache. Adrian knew abandonment well. His mother had died when he was young, and his father had walked out before Adrian turned 10, leaving him to grow up fighting the world alone. He paused outside Amelia's room, drawn by a pull he couldn't explain, watching through the small glass window as she cried alone, clutching her stomach with trembling hands, whispering apologies to her unborn child for not being strong enough. Something cracked inside him. Without thinking, he pushed open the door. Amelia blinked through tears when she saw him, a tall, sharply dressed man with tired eyes and an expression she couldn't read. "I'm sorry, this room is," she began, but another contraction ripped through her, forcing her to grip the rail of the bed with a sharp cry. Adrian moved instantly to her side. "It's okay," he said softly, though he didn't know why he felt compelled to help a stranger. "You shouldn't be alone right now." His voice held a steadiness she didn't know she needed. As the hours stretched, Adrian stayed. Nurses assumed he was the father because he refused to leave her side. He held her hand through the contractions, encouraged her when she thought she couldn't do it anymore, wiped her tears when fear overtook her. Amelia didn't know who he was, only that this stranger was showing more care in a few hours than Daniel ever had. When the moment came and she cried out in agony, Adrian held her hand so tightly she felt the strength she'd been missing for months. "Push, Amelia. You can do this," he said in a tone that made her believe she truly could. And then, after one final scream, a cry filled the room. A little girl. Perfect. Pink. Beautiful. Amelia collapsed back, sobbing as the baby was placed on her chest. Adrian felt his throat tighten as he watched the woman he had never met until tonight hold her daughter with trembling gratitude. Something inside him shifted permanently. After Amelia was moved to recovery, Adrian expected the emotional spell to break, but it didn't. Instead, he found himself checking on her again and again, as if drawn by an invisible thread. When she finally rested, he stepped outside to find Daniel pacing near the entrance, face red and agitated. "You her boyfriend?" Daniel snapped. Adrian's gaze darkened. "No. But I was there while you weren't." Daniel scoffed. "Yeah. Well, she's mine. And the kid too. I just needed time." Adrian stepped closer, his voice low and sharp. "She begged you for help. You abandoned her." Daniel shoved his hands into his pockets. "Look, she'll take me back. She always does." Adrian's jaw tightened with something dangerously close to anger. "You don't deserve her. Or that child." Daniel snorted. "What are you, her hero?" "No," Adrian replied. Just a man who knows her worth, even if you don't. Daniel laughed mockingly and walked away, muttering about women acting dramatic. Adrian expected Amelia to ask about him later, but instead, when he returned to her room, she smiled softly, her tired eyes filled with gratitude. "I don't know why you stayed," she whispered. "You didn't have to." Adrian hesitated for the first time. "I wanted to." Days passed, and Amelia learned who Adrian truly was, a billionaire, a philanthropist, a man with the world at his fingertips. But when he spoke to her, he wasn't a billionaire. He was gentle, thoughtful, almost vulnerable. He brought her meals when she couldn't get up. He bought diapers, blankets, bottles, quietly taking care of things she didn't have the strength or money to handle. She never asked. He never bragged. He just showed up, again and again. One evening, as Amelia fed her daughter, Adrian stood by the window, staring at the sunset. "You deserve a life where you're never abandoned again," he said quietly. "A life where someone chooses you every single day." Amelia looked down. "That sounds like a fairy tale." Adrian turned, his eyes softer than she'd ever seen. "What if it didn't have to be?" She looked up sharply. "What do you mean?" He walked toward her slowly, his voice trembling with sincerity. "Amelia, I don't know how to explain this. I've known you for days, but it feels longer. Watching you fight through your pain, watching you love your daughter with everything inside you, it changed something in me. I don't want to walk away from you. You deserve loyalty. You deserve protection. You deserve love." Her breath hitched. "Adrian," he knelt beside her bed, not elegantly, not gracefully, just honestly. "Amelia, I know this is fast, but I want to be the man who never leaves you. I want to take care of you and your daughter. I want to build a life where you never cry alone again." He swallowed hard. "Will you marry me?" Amelia froze, heart racing, eyes filling with tears. Not out of fear, but shock. Gratitude. Hope. "I don't know if I'm enough for someone like you," she whispered. Adrian reached up, gently brushing away her tears. "You're more than enough. You're everything I didn't know I needed." She looked down at her sleeping daughter, then at the men who stayed when the father of her child ran away. Slowly, trembling, she nodded. "Yes. Adrian. Yes." His smile was warm and relieved, and he leaned his forehead against hers, whispering, "I won't ever leave you." And he kept his word. Because sometimes, the people who walk into your life by accident are the ones who were always meant to stay. And for those watching, if stories like this touch your heart, inspire you, make you believe in second chances and true love, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. More stories are waiting for you, and trust me, you won't want to miss the next one.